Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today. Great to have you with me. Today's reading is an opportunity for Tarot to tell you exactly what it wants you to hear. So a message straight from the source. The cards will reflect what it is that you need to hear today. Now, the idea is to choose a card here that actually resonates with you really strongly. And once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's okay to make more than one choice. If you feel strongly about more than one card, just go with that flow. Now, before we get started, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon while you're there. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. It'd be great to get me out there far and wide. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Now, before you, we have 4 different cards. As I mentioned before, we have card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, and card number 4. Now, a simple, quick, guided meditation with one simple deep breath. Feet firmly on the ground. Taking in a nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, just letting go of any tension that you might be holding from within and clearing the mind. Drawing your attention to the screen before you with the 4 different cards. Which of these has the strongest resonance for you? Is it card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, or card number 4? Down below, 4 different timestamps representing each of these different cards. If you would like to go to the card that you chose, I'll be with you in a moment. Hi everyone, this is card number 1 and welcome to your reading. So today is a pick a card reading where Tarot is going to tell you what it wants you to hear. So it's a message coming straight from the source to you. We've got the cards on the table and we're ready to go. And I'm going to start over here at the Moon and Sorrow. So I feel things haven't been going so well in that you're kind of at a rock bottom situation, really. I think we all have those moments in our lives where things feel that they can't get any worse. And this really does feel like it's one of those times for you. Just, there's a sense that everywhere you look or everything you think about just seems to point back to this situation or set of circumstances that has just left you really quite crushed and heartbroken. Feels very down, very dark. I think even at times it can be a bit black. You know, there's a real depressive feeling about this. This is quite core. For me, it feels like there's a sense of loss here. That comes through really strong. For some of you, it could be definitely that. That could be the loss of somebody. It could be the loss of a situation. The loss of control of something, maybe. And I do feel that, you know, if it's not loss, it certainly is a set of circumstances where you're just unable to sort of see your way through constructively. You can't see the wood for the trees. It's like really being totally absorbed in almost like a crisis, really. You know, the Moon is quite a difficult card in that it's very slippery energy that brings up it dredges up a lot of stuff from the unconscious mind and, you know, really unsettles how it is that we think and feel, because nothing's really clear with the Moon. It's a very unsettling card that really destabilizes how you feel emotionally in particular, because it has a real impact on the emotions. But it's also a card that is reflective of the dark night of the soul. It's about going on a journey through deep and troubled times that really is about growth and learning. But nonetheless, it's not exactly something everybody wants to go through. You certainly wouldn't be volunteering to be in the situation that you're in. Sorrow is a card that, you know, expands on the idea of grief and loss or sorrow. it's pain from the past, pain in the present, and pain into the future relating to a particular issue or some sort of conflict that's happening from within. I feel like you've really been dragged down by this situation in a way where, it's, as I said before, it's quite depressive. And I think no matter how you try to look at it, it always comes back to this point, and you end up dwelling on it, and it can get a real sort of toxic energy happening around what's happening, It's just constantly brooding and thinking over what it is. So it's a very isolated, a sense of real loneliness. I think what's really difficult about this is that if you try to normalize where you're at and, to get out and to be amongst the day-to-day activities of, the world as it turns, that can almost be even more confronting because you're looking at other people and circumstances that just seem to be going along with what it is that normally happens. And it's even more of a reminder of the fact that, things aren't right for you. I think what's really difficult here is that it's you're in a place that you can't let go of or get out of. And it does feel like a sense of being out of control. I don't feel that this is going to be with you for much longer. In fact, I think your circumstances are going to change quite dramatically and very quickly. It's almost like turning a corner, and then all of a sudden, bang. There's like this meteoric kind of catalytic release of energy that takes you to the other end of the extremes, really. Coming over here to the Sun and Prince of Wands. Prince of Wands is very much a card of new beginnings that is mobilized into an opportunity. It's about far-reaching ideas, uninhibited directions. It can be a card of travel, of going to new places. It can be a card that suddenly changes the direction of your life. It could be a new job, a new career direction. It can be anything really that actually is sort of catalytic in its nature, that actually takes you away from where it is that you are at the moment. So it's very much about far-reaching ideas, new horizons that take you away and give you a sense of adventure by exploring what's out there in the world, what's on offer, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's, through travel or jobs or anything that kind of moves you away from where it is that you are. But there's a real sense of wanting to get away from the situation that you're actually in and, utilizing opportunities that are available to you. And I do feel that something is going to come to you very shortly in a way that will give you the opportunity to move in that direction. And it's paired with the Sun, and the Sun is a card of warmth and joy, high vibrational energy. It's about letting the light in. It's the polar opposite to the Moon, in that it really does allow us to flourish in a way where we feel much more happy and positive. And coupled with the Prince of Wands, I kind of feel that the energy of these it's like the polar opposite of the Moon and sorrow. It's this sort of burst of energy that really explodes in a way where you're once again meteorically kind of like shooting out and away from this really dark, difficult situation that you're in. And I think there is something really positive about it. There's definitely a release there, but at the same time, I have a slight problem with what's going on here, because it's a polar opposite of situations. If I come down here to art and pleasure, for me, these cards are very important in terms of reflecting what's going on overall. Art is a card of balance and moderation. It's also a card of healing and acceptance. It's about finding your flow, finding a middle ground in a way where things aren't extreme. Healing definitely needs to take place here. I kind of feel that the way things are going, it's almost like this opportunity that will avail itself to you. It's just a way of escaping in some ways. It'll certainly give you a feel-good factor that will shoot you in a different direction. But it's not allowing process, and it's not allowing you the time to really reflect in a way where you move through this situation to allow balance to be restored, that is really coming from a much more, I suppose, internal process that not only gives you healing, but gives you perspective as to what it is that happened. It's coupled with pleasure, and pleasure is a card of also a balance. It's also about feeling better. So it's certainly between these two cards, finding a moderate middle ground is something that will actually give you a more sustainable feel-good factor in terms of, healing, restoring the balance. Pleasure is also a card that, asks you to look at what's beneath the surface of a situation. Often there are times in life where everything isn't as it really appears, and underneath the surface, there is something that that either we can't trust, or which isn't really as innocent as it seems. Often, when we grow up as children, you are taught to believe that everything is safe and sound, and, that only bad things happen in dreams or to other people. And the reality is that that's looking at life through a rose-tinted shade, really, because the simple fact is that bad things do happen to good people, and sometimes there's no apparent reason for that. It just happens, but it is still something that we need to deal with and come to terms with in a way that allows us to accept that, yes, these things can happen, but at the same time, we can recover from them in a way where we have perspective, and that we can heal from them, and we can integrate them into who it is that we are, to find a way to deal with them in a much more balanced fashion. So for me, there's a restoration of emotional balance that needs to take place. I feel that trust needs to be restored. I think that's really important here. What you're going through at the moment, it's almost like a loss of faith, a loss of trust in what it is that's not only happened, but also why has this happened to me? Why is it that I'm in this particular situation? Why is it that I'm going through so much suffering and other people aren't? Nothing is perfect. And I think that this is a part of where I feel, going from the moon and sorrow straight through to the sun and Prince of Wands, although you're kind of going into a really sort of positive, catalytic, doorway. Again, for me, I feel that there is an importance here that is really about, putting on the brakes a little bit and slowing things down in a way where you give yourself time to heal, give yourself time to rebalance, give yourself time to accept what it is that's happened, time to understand why it happened. And, it's a real, for me, it's a restoration process that needs to take place in order for you to gain perspective so that you can move on, not in an extreme way, but in a measured way that actually gives you happiness. It restores happiness. Look, I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that are already there and keep an eye on the horizon for those that will be released in the coming weeks and months. Thank you and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 2. This is your reading, and today is a message from you coming straight from the source. And we're going to start up here with the Emperor and the Princess of Swords. And I feel like you've been working really hard to fulfill some sort of an ambition. It's like you've been striving to really get to the top of something. I feel like you've been fighting to be noticed. It's like almost like, really putting it out there in a way where you're trying to get somebody's attention or something's attention. It's very much notice me, please notice me, because I need to be a part of something. I need to be a part of what's going on here in a way where I feel like I feel like I belong. And I feel like you just keep on missing out on what's going on. It's like, the opportunity comes up and, it falls through your fingers. It's like the door keeps slamming in your face. And you're trying to get your foot in the door, but no matter how hard you try, you're just not getting the attention of whatever or whoever it is that really is important to sort of see who it is that you are and to validate you in a way where you have this, I guess a leg up to get you to where you need to be, where you want to be. And I think that's been a really tough situation for you, because I feel like it's really knocked your confidence a lot. And, there's a lot of self-doubt about where it is you're going and what is it you're doing as a result of that. You're a really intelligent person. And I think that, you lack self-confidence sometimes. And I think when you get a bit of a slap in the face like you have been, and it's repeated, it kind of results in you feeling that you're constantly on the back foot. And so you're in that energy of feeling like you're never really good enough. You're never really where you need to be. Things are always kind of nearly happening, but not quite happening. And it's very, I guess, very undermining. It's a very undermining feeling. The Emperor is a card of ambition. It's about striving towards success. It's very much about big systems, institutions. So this could be a job. This could also be a person, somebody who's not noticing you, somebody who has, I guess, a bit of an ego, maybe a little bit controlling and overbearing in a way where they're perhaps, pushing you away because you're not on their level. It could. I'll leave this loose though. I kind of really want to go more with the feeling and the energy of what I'm seeing here. I think for me, it's very much about fighting to be a part of something, and getting over this idea of not feeling good enough, not feeling that you belong, not being noticed. It's all about validation, really. Now, I do feel that this is heading in a really good direction for you. And I feel if we come over here to the Hierophant and Victory, I feel that things are moving in a direction where you actually will seal a deal, that you'll actually get this in the bag in a way where, like it's contractually binding. You become part of something that really holds it all together in a way that gives you success, but it also validates you. If this was a job, maybe it's about getting a job where it's you're contractually now sort of, engaged in an opportunity that not only validates your efforts, but also gives you some sort of, maybe gives you some sort of validation in terms of, peer groups or, within the industry that you're perhaps, looking at. Maybe there's a whole sort of, I guess, positive kind of kickback there in terms of really, people understanding what it is you're made of. This could also be a relationship as well, because the Hierophant is about the church, and it's once again, it's contractual. So in the traditional sense, it's also about marriage, and Victory is a card of success. So it could also be, formalizing a relationship in a way where things become much more contractual. That could be marriage, but it also could be something a little bit more de facto orientated, maybe moving in together, sharing bills in the same name type of thing. But I feel that this is heading in a direction where you will actually get what it is that you want. But I'm also dealing with, we're dealing here with really conservative energies. I think what you're trying to break into is there's something very conservative about this, something very reserved. I think, and you're much more free thinking. You're very intelligent. I think you're quite ahead of the game. The only thing that you lack is really confidence. And I get this sense that even though it's heading in a really good direction that will give you outcomes and validate your efforts, okay, you'll reach, the success that you've been trying to find. You're kind of, you've become institutionalized in a way where you feel like you belong. But is that really where you want to be? Is that really, is this more about, an experience of, affirming you to show you that you're made of more things? If I come down to here with the Tower and failure, and my true sense is that what you're fighting to be a part of just doesn't have solid ground. The opportunity is there, yes, but I just don't get a sense that it's going to hold you in a way where it will really give you what you want in terms of true fulfillment. I think this can last the distance in terms of its timeline. But once again, this conservatism really concerns me in a way where I just don't feel like there's a heart in this. It lacks something that really gives you validation at a much, much deeper level that really is kind of, either based on love or based on validation from a heartfelt level in terms of what it really means. And also, this conservative energy for me, it doesn't feel supportive in a way that it kind of holds you up. For me, the Tower and failure, they're all about deconstructing the experience and actually taking it right back down to a core level, okay? You're fighting to be a part of something that validates you, yet at the same time, you're actually quite different to what that all is. You're a free thinker, you're a renegade, you have ideas, you have, I guess you have, like a really high intelligence that is sort of beyond what we're talking about here. And my feeling is that you don't trust yourself enough to actually follow through on a path that is really more about your own identity, as opposed to having to be a part of something that makes you feel that you're valid, if that makes sense. The Tower is all about deconstruction. It's about letting the light in, and it brings the Tower to the ground. The divinity aspect, the godlike nature of the Tower is that it has to be brought down to the ground so that you can see it for what it really is, which is truth, okay? Failure is an interesting card in as much as it's about looking at what you've got. It's a contemplative and reflective card that looks into what it is that you've invested into, okay? And in that sense, it asks you also to take something away from that actually is about reinvesting it into the future. Really, if you stay on this path, it's going to be a bit of a hollow victory, is what I'm saying. You really need to come back to base and validate who it is that you are, and understand that you're different from what it is that you're trying to be a part of, and that your uniqueness is your greatest selling point. And that needs to be deconstructed in a way where you actually support yourself and give yourself your own leg up. You need to do this alone. You need to really fight for what is right, which is actually fighting for your own truth about who it is that you really are. So I hope this reading has made some sense to you all. And if it has, please feel free to leave some feedback down below. It'd be great to get your comments. Like and share this video where you can. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Excuse me. And just on a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that I've already posted, and keep an eye out on the horizon for those coming up in the coming weeks. Thanks very much, and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading, and today is an opportunity for Tarot to tell you what it wants you to hear. So we've got the cards on the table and we're ready to go to try and decipher the message that you need to hear today. So I'm up here at the Hermit and Truce, and I really love these two cards because they're very internal in terms of their process. They really point to a period of time where you've really just kind of pulled things back. It's been very restrained, very self-reflective. I think this, to me, feels like there's been a very long period of just kind of spending time on your own, taking yourself out of the demands of life in a way where you're just not prepared to be unnecessarily distracted by anything that's going on in the world. I think maybe you're a bit of a loner as well. You like to spend time with yourself in your own company. You don't need other people to prop you up or bolster you in a way that validates you. And I think you really like to get down to the nitty-gritty. You like to look at things in a way that not deciphers them, but actually dissects them to understand how they work from a very kind of spiritual, maybe even a very truthful point of view. But I do feel there is some sense of recovery as well. It's like I feel like you've had to have time out to kind of regenerate. I wonder whether that actually meant that you had a brush with your health in some way, physically, mentally or emotionally, that things had been a bit out of balance and that you really needed to just take some time to rest and recuperate. But the Hermit is a card that indicates a long period of time. He is the kind of quintessential I guess, monk who kind of climbs to the top of the mountain and, dwells in a cave for many, many years in order to find enlightenment. And, so enlightenment doesn't come necessarily very quickly. You need to be patient with the process, but it really does point to inner dialogue and self-realization. But there's a great degree of depth in terms of the meaning of this card. And I think characteristically that reflects on you in a way where it shows your ability to really plunder any issue at hand in a way where you try to understand where it stems from. So I think you have quite a holistic point of view. There's nothing, I don't get anything superficial about your nature. Truce is a card that is often, it often indicates recovery. It's about rest and recuperation, but it's also very meditative. It's about sifting things through in a way where, once again, you contemplate issues that might be at hand. Often it can be around conflict. So I feel that you've had a very long period of time out where you've been trying to figure out what's going on in your world. Maybe there's been some issues that you've been trying to get to the heart of, where you're trying to figure some stuff out that's been going on. Maybe you've been looking at where things have been going in life, looking at the past, looking at the present, thinking about the future, putting all of the pieces together. But essentially a very restrained period of really trying to, just reflect, digest, contemplate, and enlighten yourself. Very beautiful. Now, if I come over here to Lust and the Knight of Dis, I do feel that there has been a little bit of movement in terms of where things are going. I think you're coming out of your shell. I think slowly but surely you're chipping away at getting back into the thrust of things. I say thrust, probably that's probably a little bit hard. Maybe just, taking one step at a time. The Knight of Dis is definitely about taking one step at a time. It's not a go hard, go fast card. It's very considered, it's quite reserved, quite conservative. It's about, making money. It's about investments for the long term. So it's not looking for a quick, hard, fast buck. It's also about our routine, it's a very 9 to 5 card of predictability. Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, in a way where things are repetitive, but reliable and very sure in terms of their structure. The one thing about this card, though, is that it's certainly not taking any risks. It's not jumping off the deep end. It's not dynamic, but it is structured and it is dependable. It's coupled with Lust, and Lust is a card of passion, creativity, but it's also a card of health. And I wondered, as I was saying before, whether, there was some sort of destabilization of health and you'd been recovering in some way, whether you're now in a period where you feel much, much sort of more, healthy and bolstered in terms of what's happening around the idea of health. Things feel more reliable, more structured, more dependable. The forecast for the long term is really healthy. So the energy is definitely rising up here. That's the one thing I get about it. And you can feel that through Lust. There is definitely, an energy rising up. And Lust is a card that is really about strong feeling, whether that's our emotions or our instincts. It's about the idea of, these strong urges that push through us. Could be very sexual as well, like a really strong energy that rises up through any of those kind of spheres, really. But it's about restraining it, refining it in a way where we can actually point it into something that is more enlightened, more refined, less raw. It's about taking a kind of very raw reaction and working with that in a way where we don't become a slave to it. Whether it's like a negative emotion or a strong instinctual urge. It's about mastering our ability to really channel our energy into opportunities that raise our awareness, raise our vibrations, that help us to really become a master of our destiny in that respect. And I think for you, you really are focused on getting things structured, putting things back into place. I get a sense that you're coming out of a withdrawn, recovering, kind of very self-reflective period into something where your energy is beginning to rise up again. Things are becoming more dependable in terms of your confidence and your ability to map out the direction of your life. And at the same time, there's nothing kind of risky going on there. So, like it's great, but there's a lot of energy that's under there that is quite passionate and creative, and it doesn't actually have an outlet. And that's the thing that I'm grappling with is, things are certainly moving forwards. They're stepping in the right direction. However, there's a conservatism that really sort of dominates the direction that this is all going. And for me, if I come down here to the Chariot and Ace of Cups, I think these two cards really build on the idea of that conservatism in a way that give it some contrast. Because the Chariot is really a card that is striving towards success. It's about directing your will and, pushing yourself hard in terms of making up your mind and essentially using, mustering all of your energy to really focus in on what it is that you want, on what it is that you want and striving towards success. So the Ace of Cups is a card of new opportunities that are about creativity, about a whole new life in some ways. It often comes up when you want to start a new life, but also it's a card of pregnancy and wanting to have children. It's also about creative opportunities in general. And so for me, I feel that these two cards really are about shaping your life according to what really presses your buttons in terms of your passion, okay? It's your ability to succeed in whatever it is that you decide to take a hold of, okay? And really for me, it's sort of saying, what are you waiting for? You're sort of heading in this direction where things are very kind of, I guess, reliable, structured, dependable, but there's no creative outlet there that really gives, this sense of fulfillment in terms of where your passion lies. And I think there's a tendency for you to pull back, to be very conservative, to self-reflect, to self-isolate, to do things on your own, to take yourself out of harm's way, to take yourself out of any kind of activity or opportunity that may overwhelm you, may overstimulate you. I think I think by nature, there is quite a conservative outlook in terms of wanting to keep things manageable, dependable, and maybe a part of that's to do with your health. Maybe you're not wanting to put yourself at risk, not wanting to kind of overwhelm yourself for fear of something destabilizing in your life in a way that you lose control. Yeah, so the control element is really big. But the thing is that you are a really control person, no matter how you look at it. And if you come back down here to Chariot and the Ace of Cups, it really is about making a decision on what it is that you want to do. You can work towards a passionate, creative goal, whether that's about having kids, whether that's actually about starting a whole new life, whether that's about working with a creative opportunity that has an element of risk in it. What you really need to do is make your mind up about what it is you want and just drive yourself towards that with all of your muster, yeah? Taking the sort of introverted point of view and sort of externalizing that into something that really manifests an outcome that gives you success. And I think that you really need to step up at times to strive for the rewards, to shape your life in a way that it gives you what it is that you really deserve based on what you're really good at, but also what you're really passionate about. Because if you continually sort of, pull things back and keep a reserve that tends towards this sort of internalization and restrained point of view, you're never really going to quite sort of reach that I guess that threshold that gives you a sense of accomplishment, but also a greater sense of fulfillment in terms of what is it you're truly capable of going for. For me, it's about going for gold. I think you should go for gold. I think you've had enough time out. I think things already make sense. I think it's time to take some risks. It's time to push things forward, but it's certainly time to make your mind up. But more importantly than all of that, it's time to go for a whole new life. Yeah, don't hold back. Go for gold. Hope this reading has made some sense to you. And if it has, please leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Please like and share this video where you can. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Don't forget to subscribe and tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 4. This is your reading, and today we're letting tarot tell you what it wants you to hear. So, excuse me, the cards are on the table and we're ready to go. And a message straight from the source to you. Now, I'm drawn up here to the Star and Worry, and I feel that you feel perhaps all of your hopes have been dashed in some way. That you're not going to achieve what it is that you had hoped to achieve. I question whether this had something to do with somebody else, that you felt that somebody had taken away all of your hopes, or maybe it involves somebody else in a way where you feel unsupported to get to where you want to be in terms of what it is that you would really like to happen in your world. But there's definitely a feeling of isolation there, of not having what you need in order to make this happen. It feels a little bit lonely, a little bit isolated, a little bit outcast even. And I also get this sense, it's almost like a feeling of, is this because of me? Like, is it my fault that this is not going to happen? Is there something wrong with me perhaps? And there's nowhere to turn to. I don't feel like there's anywhere to turn to get what you need in terms of the support to make this happen. So there's a lot of insecurity around this. It feels like you're very alone in this experience, very vulnerable. There's a very vulnerable flavor to this, most definitely. The Star is definitely a vulnerable card because it's about putting hopes and wishes out there in a way where, you know, you're really hoping that it will manifest, but you don't know if it will or not. I mean, you can hope for it, you can dream for it, you can wish for it, and then you just have to wait to see what returns in a way. So dreams can be crushed. And Worry is a card where, you know, it's a card of depletion, of losing everything. You know, it can be a material card where you lose everything, you know, financially, materially, or symbolically in terms of losing everything that you had hoped for in this particular case. Both cards compound this vulnerability, this sense of loss, you know, of not getting to where you really want to be, of feeling quite vulnerable, feeling alone, but at the same time being clear about what it is that you want. And I think that's the thing that shines through about this. I think, you know what you want. It's just that you feel more than short of actually being able to achieve that. It's almost like been taken away from you in some ways. I think you've come to a point now where, you know, it's a new beginning. So coming over here to the Magus and Prince of Swords, I think, you know, you're trying to let go of all of this. You know, you're trying to let go of what it is that happened. I think you're trying to move forward in a way where you're just going with the flow, acting on instinct and inspiration, trying not to get too caught up in the detail. Yeah, definitely a feeling that it's about taking a new step forward in a new direction, perhaps doing this differently, doing it in a way that you'd never thought to do it before. Yeah, so I think there's because the Magus is definitely a card where you're barreling down a road that's less traveled. You know, it's quite unique in that, you know, it's coming off the mainstream, making things up a little bit as they go along, not getting bogged down in responsibility and detail. You know, the magic is in just being in the moment, really. And perhaps that's what you're trying to do. You know, you've kind of been, you know, in this state where you've almost been a bit crushed, you know, in terms of your dreams being crushed. And And, so this is kind of trying to make it a little bit more dynamic by kind of following the path, in a much more instinctual way, I would have said. But it's coupled with the Prince of Swords. And the Prince of Swords is a tricky card because it can be really negative. It can be very undermining. It's full of self-doubt. It worries a lot. It thinks about what it is that happened. It thinks about the past. It gets caught up in overthinking, goes into too much detail, can't let things go. It's a card of new beginnings, new opportunities that become mobilized, that move forward. And it couples with the Magus, which is about new beginnings. So there's a definite sense I'm going to give this another go, or it's a new beginning, moving forwards with a past opportunity, definitely. But where this becomes a bit unstuck is that the thought process won't let go of what it is that happened. It keeps on thinking about it, goes into the problem, and if it can't go into the problem, then it starts making problems up. It looks at all negative aspects by just kind of thinking of all the things that could go wrong in terms of moving forward. So a lot of conflict here for me, I feel like you kind of fallen short of what it is you really wanted to achieve. There's a great sense of vulnerability there. I don't feel that you have support. I feel this is very insecure in some ways, but you're trying to move on from it. You're trying, and I think you're doing the right thing. You're trying to go with the flow in a way where you're letting it all go, but because of what it is that happened and the enormous impact. I think the thing is you shouldn't underestimate the enormous impact that it has had on you, which is why this negative thought process comes back into play. Start thinking about, all the things that could go wrong because there's suffering there that hasn't been fully resolved. If it had been fully resolved, you wouldn't be thinking and feeling this particular way. Come down here to the Eon and Knight of Cups. Very beautiful set of cards because there's a lot of honesty here and they give a lot of support in terms of guidance of how to move forward in this particular situation. The Eon is full of gravity. It's about making decisions based on your past experiences. It's about looking at the big picture. Where have I come from? Where am I at? Where am I going? It's about being honest with yourself, really getting to the point of what's happening in order to learn from mistakes. Yeah, that's what this card's all about. Learning from what it is that happened in a way where you liberate yourself and don't make the same mistakes twice. It's quite spiritual too, because it's sort of a turning point card. It wants to turn a corner into a new beginning that, as I said before, liberates you from the experiences that have been stopping you from reaching, the heights that you want to reach. It's coupled with the Knight of Cups. Now, the Knight of Cups is a card of great sensitivity and creativity. It's a card of creative opportunity. But more commonly, it's a card of romance and love. It's often about another person in our lives who has captured our hearts, swept us off of our feet, and leads us into the idea or the opportunity, really, of a longer-term relationship that is about commitment, intimacy, love. Okay, it's about pairing off, and these two cards read together as a really very beautiful, I guess, support that says, love and honesty prevails. That's all that's important. Everything else is really quite peripheral. If you have love at the center of whatever it is that's going wrong here, this will be your guiding force. This will be your guiding light. This will take you to the truth, okay? Now, I get this sense that if this was a creative opportunity, okay, it's time to write. I'm looking at this from two different angles because a part of me says creative opportunity and the other part of me says that this is very much about romance. So if it's about romance, I get a sense that this also reflects another person. And my feeling is that this other person at heart is deeply honest. Maybe they're not falling in line with what you'd hope for to manifest. But if love is there, if love is anchored between the two of you, it will prevail. It will take you to where you want to be, where you need to be. And you need to have faith. You need to believe in it. Don't hold back. Go with the flow. Sure, you're at a crossroads moment, but reach for the sky and be clear about what it is that you want based on love, okay? So I feel that that is a guiding force. If this is a creative opportunity, my sense is that you need to be honest about what you're doing with this, okay? Let go of all of the self-doubt. Let go of what you thought this was going to be, what it was going to make you, what it was going to deliver you, and go with the honesty, the heartfelt truth of what it is that you're trying to achieve here. This is about, for in both cases, this is about integrity. Integrity is what underpins this situation in a way that will actually give you success, okay? All of your ideas, all of your thought processes, yeah? These are based on things that are failing you, okay? So all of this negative rhetoric that's going on, it's based on the idea that somebody or something has let you down in a way that stopped you short from getting what it is you really wanted to achieve. Okay, and it's leading you through a process where you've decided to give this another go, to try and make it happen. But you can't try and make this happen if you bring through all of this negativity. You're either on board or you're not, which is what the Eon is all about. It's saying, are you on board? Yes, sure, you have to look at all your past experiences that have led you to this particular point, okay? But it's also confirming that this is a way forward. There is a way forward through truth and honesty, either with this person or with this situation or this creative opportunity, okay? That it has a catalytic force that will take you to where you need to be, that will be in line with what it is that you would actually hope for in the first place. So I feel this is a really difficult reading for you because, you know, you've hit a rock bottom point, okay, that has really knocked your confidence in a way where you're finding it really troublesome to put all the pieces back together to make sense of it. You've lost confidence, yeah? But what will reinstall that confidence is faith, okay? You have to believe in it, yeah? You have to believe in what's going on in a way where you don't hold back. Give it your heart, is what I'm saying, and you will be rewarded. I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. It'd be great to get me out there far and wide. If you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Please subscribe to my channel and tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And just a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so keep an ear and an eye out for those. Take care, and thank you very much.